welcome to Grammar Lesson 9, and we are doing the future simple tense, which in form is very easy to remember. All you have to do is put will and the base form of the verb. By the base form, I mean, for example, if it's talk, talk. And you don't do anything to it. You don't say talks or anything. You put the base form. Sometimes you call it the infinitive, to talk. You take away the to and just put the talk. I will talk to you tomorrow. She will come to Colombo next week. They will go to America next year. So will and the base form means something that you do in the future, right? So earlier people said with first person. First person is I or we. You could use shall. I shall come. We shall go. It's a bit old-fashioned. You don't have to do that now. I mean, there's no harm in doing it. But generally, remember the will and the base form means the future. So when it comes to future, there's something called modal verbs because it might happen, it might not happen. Modal verbs I will deal with in my next lesson. Here I will concentrate on something that will definitely happen in the future, in which case you can use the helping verb. A helping verb is also called the auxiliary, right? The helping verb will. So I will go to campus tomorrow. Something that you definitely do. They will tell me a secret tomorrow. Whatever, something that is meant to happen. Okay, so there's nothing much grammar wise I can tell you about that, but the song that I chose, I can talk about that a bit because it has shall as well as kind of an old song. This is called We Shall Overcome, right? I called it an old song because this was used during the American Civil Rights Movement. You might know what the Civil Rights Movement was. America, because of slavery, had many black people living in it, and there were problems between the black and whites, and there was a huge movement in which the black people asked for equal respect, equal rights within the USA. There are people like Martin Luther King, who was assassinated for asking for something like that. And there were huge protests. And this song is very closely connected to this movement. And it talks about something that will happen. You will see when I read the words. We can have protest songs as well. If you remember things like Kampana, you can protest through songs. The hippie movement, a lot of movements like Woodstock, in a way was a rejection of some social norms that these people expressed through song. And people like John Byers in the West were singers who were also fighting something through their music. You can go to Google and type protest songs and you'll see a few. Perhaps this is the one I'm teaching you today is perhaps the most famous, right? Very simple song. You can shout it and march on the road if you wish. It's so easy to say, but also very, very powerful meaning. And we shall overcome is like such a, not that we have to, a very definite statement. We shall overcome means overcome problems. Normally overcome means some issue, some obstacle. And this song says very clearly, we shall overcome. So please listen to it either before or after I read this poem. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we'll walk hand in hand someday. So it's the same pattern. That is why it's easy to sing when you are marching. You just have to remember one different line. So will walk, V-E apostrophe double L. So we will has been contracted just to two L's, and you mark the W-I, missing W-I with an apostrophe. So we will walk hand in hand. In the song you say will walk hand in hand. But the spelling is not W-I-L-L. We contracted with will with the first two letters taken off. We will walk hand in hand. Then the next line, then on the different thing is we shall live in peace. Because this is a time of trouble, time of, I told you Luther King was assassinated, gunned down. So we shall live in peace. It's an affirmation. This is going to happen. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday. Next line, we shall all be free. We shall all be free. So liberty, there's a lot of weight left on that. So they have a history of slavery where there was no liberty. This is not about slavery, but even if they came out of it, there were still things that discriminated them, which made them not free. If you look at the West now, before the pandemic, there were very high rates of violence. And there was a movement called Black Lives Matter. So though this song was like decades old, some of it, the reasons that this song was made powerful still can happen in the USA. So we shall all be free. Then last line, the last verse comes to the present simple, right? So everything is say we will do this, we will do this, we will be this. And the last verse is this. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid today. So the last line comes now. They are protesting and they are telling the authorities, we are not afraid. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we are not afraid today. So listen to this song, and sometimes the videos, maybe I'll pick one of those, has pictures of civil rights marches happening, you know, and how much this song can mean to people who are subjugated and need to come together to fight about something, right? So I will not do another poem because I think this is powerful enough for you to understand. This is a song. I won't do another song, though this is a very common, it's a very common tense that you use in any song, because the future tense is very much connected to hope. No, I think I will show you a song that I like. You must have heard of Michael Jackson, right? Michael Jackson's story is in a way quite sad because so what I'm doing now is actually typing the song. Y'all can do this as well. If you know that you just type it on the internet and you download it, right? Let me read this because this is something he wrote very, very long time ago, before he became a superstar. There were 5 brothers, the Jackson 5, and this is something he sang as a very young boy when he was still looking like a black person, because after that he went through a lot of plastic surgery and you could hardly recognize him, and you know, he died a kind of a sad death. He was overdosed, or he couldn't handle the drugs he was getting. But let me, because I love this song, it's a very old song, let me read this, right? And future tense, and I'll show you where the future tense comes. It's called One Day in Your Life, Michael Jackson. One day in your life, you'll remember a place, someone touching your face. You'll come back and you'll look around you. One day in your life, you'll remember the love you found here. You will remember me somehow. Though you don't need me now, I will stay in your heart. And when things fall apart, you'll remember one day. One day in your life when you find that you're always waiting for a love we used to share. Just call my name and I'll be there. You'll remember me somehow. Though you don't need me now, I will stay in your heart. And when things fall apart, you'll remember one day in your life. When you find that you're always lonely for a love we used to share, just call my name and I'll be there. So a lot of contraction use. I'll be there. I will be there. It's very often that the helping verb will is contracted. Beautiful song. Listen to it. Enjoy the music, because sometimes we forget that just enjoying the music is also part of subconsciously learning. Very often I have said this publicly, we've taken the fun out of learning, right? So I hope by, you don't have to like the songs I like, but you can search on Michael Jackson, see how he dances, like it, because you can like the culture and therefore like the language. So in a way, my attempt is to show as many things I like. You can through that find things you like, so that you're open to the culture through which language can come to you, and you can learn to appreciate it. You don't have to be like that, but you can have a taste, or you can show appreciation for things that you don't know much about, so that it's always nice. There are so many things I don't know, but it's nice to learn, to find out how different things are created in other parts of the world. So this was the present simple tense, future simple tense, I'm sorry. And because the future simple tense also leads to modal verbs, next time I'll come back with that. Thank you.